Hi guys, I'd like to welcome you guys all back to my channel, and today we are talking about finding a therapist. So yes, this will be a chat video for you today. I'm going to be revealing the name of our chat videos very soon. I just need to finalize a couple of things, but in honor of May being Mental Health Month, I felt like we should have a chat because even in our last Black Pros Book Club live, we talked about mental health and how people usually have been using social media for therapy, whereas like therapy is something that I advocate for very openly, and I'm very honest about the fact that I have a therapist and she's fantastic. But I do get questions about how did I find my therapist, like how did I know that my therapist was the right therapist for me? And I kind of just wanted to talk about that. This is going to be a very short video, hopefully, because I did write down notes so we could stay on track. So the first question that I get a lot is, how did I find my therapist? And I actually found my therapist through Instagram. The Therapy for Black Girls Instagram and podcast were two things that I was heavily into before I actually found my therapist. But on their website, they have an actual directory that you could put in your address and it'll give you a list of Black girl therapists. And I know somebody's going to ask, why did their race matter? Why did their gender matter? And da-da-da-da-da. It's not racist of me to want to be able to relate to my therapist. Complete transparency, I tried 3 therapists before her. Two of them were older white males, and then one of them was a younger white female. And I have nothing against them. I just didn't feel that sense of safety with them. And then keep in mind, I was also looking for a therapist around the time that Trump was elected president. And y'all know the races came out in full force around that time. So it was really hard for me to just be honest, it was hard for me to look at a white woman or a white man and have them truly understand how I felt being a Black woman in America, especially since I work with a lot of white men who dismiss me regularly. So it was hard for me to look at him and like trust that he was going to take me seriously. And then, there's all these reports about how Black women are not treated well by doctors. And I don't know, all of that compounded into me feeling like the best option for me was looking for a Black female therapist. It meant that I didn't have to explain a lot of things, because the white female therapist that I had, I felt like she was good, but I realized that I had to explain a lot of things to her. So for example, when I told her that I feared for the Black men in my life, I fear for their life all the time, and it's racially charged, and she wanted me to explain it. And it's like, when I explained it to her, she was like, do you think it's other reasons other than race? And I'm just sitting there like, do you not watch TV? So I was like, I felt like she didn't understand. I felt like she was empathetic, as that was her job. I felt like she didn't understand. And when I found my therapist, she and I were talking about certain things that are just prevalent in the Black community, and she already understood because she's a part of the community. And to me, I felt like that relatability was something that was super important to me. And when I found my therapist, and she made me feel safe, she made me feel heard, and she made me feel seen. And I realized that I was missing those aspects when I was looking at other therapists, trying to figure out who was right for me. Now, that's not for me to say that a white therapist would not be able to do the job. I have Black friends who have white therapists, and they feel a connection to their therapist. It's literally just your personal preference and what you feel. I never say look at a picture and automatically judge. If you are drawn to that picture, set up an appointment. Have that first session with them, because it's kind of like an inpatient processing type thing anyway, where they just want you to talk about, what's going on and why did you feel like you needed a therapist. And during that session, you kind of get a feel for them. The way that they respond to you, the way that they take your words. It's just, I guess I can only do this for me. So when I went to the therapist that I have now, when I went to her for my first time, we sat down. Her little office was really cute, and it was in a comfy chair, and she had tissues next to her, and she just basically was like, so tell me what's going on. What made you want a therapist? And when I was explaining it to her, and I was losing the right words to explain because I was getting emotional, like I was frustrated, everything, she was able to like fill in the blanks of my words where I was getting choked up or something like that. And it was like, wow, like you actually understand, like, I don't have to sit here for an extra 5 minutes wasting time to like get you to understand what I'm saying. So for me, I just felt like that was so refreshing. And after I actually explained to her why I felt like I needed to see a therapist, she told me some things. She was like, well, I feel like you're exhibiting signs of this and this, and you know, if you want to continue, we could start, you know, breaking down these things and working on them together. And it was like in one session she was seeing me clearer than I felt the other therapist had. Like I was told by one of the other therapists that like maybe I'm just going through an emotional time and I just need help processing that, which he was happy to volunteer to help me do, but like to me it was more than that. And my therapist has helped me so much. Like I always keep saying that, but like she's helped me so freaking much, and it's nice. She's unbiased, and I know in the Black community we don't really talk about therapists, and we have this taboo notion that going to therapists means that something is necessarily wrong with you or you're crazy or something like that. But like this is a generation of change. We have the ability to break down those generational barriers that kept us from being the best versions of ourselves. And again, it's not to say that talking to your family or your friends is not something that you can continue to do, but sometimes you need somebody who doesn't know you to speak, and it's just nice. Like I felt in the beginning that I might be offending my parents and my family because I didn't want them to think that I couldn't come to them and talk about things, because I still talk to my parents and I still talk to my siblings about things that are going on with me. But sometimes I just needed a third opinion, a non-biased third opinion that also might have been trained in the area, you know? So don't be afraid to look it up. If you're wondering, therapyforblackgirls.com. It's like the first option in the top menu, where it says find a therapist, and like good luck. But yeah, so the third thing that I looked for was, did it cover my insurance? So my insurance actually covers a portion of my sessions, which is very important. I would have paid for her out of pocket anyway and just budgeted that into my monthly thing, because right now I check in with her once a month. When I was really down and really losing focus and feeling like everything was too hard to handle, I was seeing her 2 to 3 times a month, depending on the month. And then the number like dwindled back down, which saved my pockets. So it's something that you do have to consider when you look for a therapist. Like, what is your budget? Is there a way that they can work with you? I know some therapists have a thing where like you could pay like twice a month, like during your paychecks, to accumulate one session. I don't know what, you know, I can't speak for everybody else's financial abilities, but I recommend it. It's one of those things where like investing in yourself, like the sessions are not always easy. Like I'm just say that, like the sessions are not always easy. There are moments where you're kind of just mad at yourself for being in there. Like I can't tell you how many times I've gone into a session and I'd be okay, and then like midway through the session I'd be crying by the end of it. I don't wear makeup to sessions. I always take myself to like the bookstore or something after, because the sessions are healing, but they're also exhausting in the same thing. It's just always like, whew, my God, you know? So just keep that in mind. It's a process. Like, your mental health is something that is constantly changing and constantly responding to the world around you. So you always have to keep that in mind when you go into therapy. And my therapist helps me kind of keep things in perspective. I've had a couple extra sessions since this quarantine started, again, being very transparent. And for example, I've been overeating. And, you know, we were talking about the fact that the overeating is compensation. Like, what am I looking for when I'm eating, when I'm not hungry? Like, what comfort, what is that feeling that I get when I eat? And then where can I find that somewhere else? And it's not that I needed a therapist to tell me that, but again, I just trust her. I've had her for 2 years now. I just appreciate the addition of her assistance in my life. I feel like she's helped me, with the way that I communicate, with my friends, with my family, especially with my siblings, because me and my siblings are very close and we love each other hard, and sometimes we do not communicate very well. So I feel like I've gotten tools to where I could work better with that, because I love my siblings, and it is annoying as they are. Like, I never want to create a barrier for us. So, you know, I've been literally taking the lessons that I've learned from my therapist and applying them in my everyday life and with my relationships with people, and setting boundaries for myself, and just, you know, telling myself, like, this is how we're going to do things. This is how we're not. And like really working that thing for me. So, woo! Instead of a bullet journal video today, because me and my bullet journal have been struggle busting, which we'll talk about in a journaling video, but I just wanted to come sit here and talk to you guys about that. If you guys have any questions about my therapy process or like anything, I'm not going to get personal as far as like my diagnosis and all that other stuff. That I won't do. I know someone's gonna, I'm currently on no medications. We don't feel that it's needed. And that's another thing. Like, if your therapist is just immediately recommending medication to you, keep in mind that yes, there are medications, there are beta blockers, there are all of those things, and they are great. But always read about the side effects and what they do to your body. Healing the mind is a very strenuous process, and some people need medication, and that is just what it is. But right now for me, I'm trying to see if I can do it without. And I have great days and I have really, really bad days, but I'm working through it. And that's pretty much all you can do. That's mental health awareness. It's like, I'm just fine. I'm a human. I'm allowed to have feelings, and I'm allowed to go through this process. So yeah, thank you guys so much for checking out my channel. And until the next time, guys, bye.